Hello, let me know whether the audio is okay. Hi everybody, welcome to the stream, and today I'll be talking to you, answering few of your questions, any question that you might have regarding Photoshop, Lightroom, maybe a little bit of photography. I'll be happy to answer that. So, waiting for your responses. Let me just quickly go ahead and check a few
Welcome to the stream, and today I'll be
technical
talking
stuff,
to you,
whether I'm
answering
visible
few of
or
your
not,
questions,
whether my
any
screen is
question that you
available
might
or
have
not,
regarding
stuff like that.
Photoshop,
Okay, so
Lightroom,
let's go ahead
maybe
and
a
let
little
me
bit of
just
photography.
check whether things
I'll be
are
happy
all
to
right.
answer that. So,
Waiting for your responses. I have
two
people here. Hi
Welcome to
Ron,
the
how are
stream,
you
and
doing?
today
Hi
I'll be talking to you,
Raheel, how are you
whether I'm
doing?
visible or not, whether my
Okay,
screen
so
is
also I
available or
need to
not,
open
stuff
up
like
my
that.
YouTube
Okay,
account
so
on
let's
my
go ahead
phone
and
so
let me
that
just
in order to
check
check whether
whether
I'm
things are
visible
all right.
right,
So,
whether
waiting for your
it's going right or
responses.
wrong.
Let me just
Let's go ahead and
here.
check a
Hi
few
Ron,
things.
how are you doing?
Hi, I'm sorry for the technical stuff. We have to deal with that.
Also, I
Anyway,
need to
open up my
Okay,
YouTube
so
account
let's
on
go
my
ahead
phone
and
so
let
that
me
you might
just
have in order to check whether I'm
Oh,
visible right.
So,
All right, let
waiting
me
for your
just
responses.
lower down the volume of my phone.
Here. Hi Ron,
Okay,
stream, and
now
hi.
it seems
Sorry
all
for the
right.
technical stuff.
Now,
Okay,
as
so
soon
also
as
I
we
need
have,
to open up my
is my voice repeating?
in order to check whether I'm visible.
Is my voice okay? Or tutorial? Anything? Is it wrong? Is the video fine? Is the audio
Now,
fine?
as soon as we
Is
have,
my voice fine now?
is my voice
Is it
repeating?
still repeating?
In order to check whether I'm visible.
Is my voice okay? Is it still repeating? Anything? Is it wrong? Is the video fine? Is the audio
Now,
fine?
as soon as we
Is
have,
my voice fine now?
Okay,
just
is
let
my
me.
voice
Is the audio fine now? Okay, now tell me, is the audio fine? Okay, let me just check. Let me check. Okay, now tell me, is the audio Yeah, it seems to be fine right now. Okay. By the way, what actually happened was in my encoder, OBS encoder, I by mistake turned on my desktop audio. So the audio that was coming from desktop again came to my mic, and so it cycled through and the audio went wrong. Okay, you see voices 1,000 times. Oh man, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so let's start taking questions. So I'm here in Photoshop. Let me just switch my screen. There we go. Here we are in Photoshop. So if you have any questions regarding Photoshop, I'll be happy to answer that today. So today it's all about answering your questions. 53 watching now. So happy to be there. Also, okay, Lizette is saying, yes, it's fine. How do I remove stubbly face hair from male face? Okay, good question. Let me just, by the way, I have a tutorial about that, Murat, on how to shave in Photoshop. Go ahead and search that and you'll find answers to that. How to install Pexels. Okay, you just search for Pexels Photoshop plugin. Street Hacker Designer asks, just search for Pexels Photoshop plugin, and the first link that you see, click on that link and you'll be able to download it for Windows or Mac. Just download that, play the setup, restart Photoshop, and it should be there in your extensions. Also keep in mind that Pexels does not support some versions of Photoshop. It's written when you download that in the website. So check your version is the most updated version, that is CC 2015.5. Okay, high pass. Radha, high pass. What do you want to know about high pass? High pass is actually used for sharpening stuff. Okay. Also, it can be used for making clarity, of imitating clarity in Photoshop. So let me show you what it actually does. So I have this photo. If you want to sharpen it, let's just open some other photo. Maybe we'll open some of my favorites right here. Okay, for example, we are working with this photo. Hey Andrew, great to see you. Andrew is a nice guy, which reminds me, Andrew is the owner of this group, Photoshop and Lightroom, which is an awesome group. I think it's one of the biggest groups in Photoshop. It's about Photoshop and Lightroom. And there's an announcement, by the way. I'm going to be live on Saturday, 10:30 p.m. IST, Indian Standard Time, 10 a.m. PST. And there I'll be talking about portrait retouching, my top tips. So make sure you be there. All you have to do, you have to go to Facebook, search for Photoshop and Lightroom group. I might link it up in the description later after this video records. And then what I'm going to do, you just have to click on that link, join the group, and I'll be live in that group teaching portrait retouching, a 1-hour session, my top tips. All right. So high pass, let's go ahead and answer that question. So all you need to do, make a copy of this layer, if you and then go to filter. Let me just drink water, my oxy-rich water. Okay, filter, other, high pass. Now, since this is a smart object, you can always go back and change the values. Now, you need to keep a value so much so that you don't see much of halos. Also, you see sharpness. So what you have to do, you have to gradually keep on increasing the radius, okay? This is fine, this is looking fine. If you go beyond this level, you begin to see something called halos. If you go too much halos. So you have to find the sweet spot where there are less halos and edge sharpening. Edges are visible. Okay, so this is a nice spot to be in. Click OK and change the blend mode to overlay. There you go. Have a look at the before and after. I'm not sure whether you can see it in this small view, but this is the before, this is the after. It's way much sharpened. Let me show you here. Before, after. You can see the difference, right? And anytime you think radius is small or it's large, you can double click on it and real time you can change the radius and see how much too much radius looks, less of radius looks, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I went a little ahead. High pass, difference between curves and levels. Good question, Carlos. Thanks for asking that. Actually, I'm taking questions in sequence so that I do justice to everybody. So I'm sorry if your question is way too much ahead. I'm so sorry about that. So what is the difference between levels, curves and levels? Lot of difference. Let's open up levels. So in levels, you get to choose the black point, the white point, and you get to change the midtones, manipulate the midtones. And that's pretty much what you'll be able to do. You're able to brighten up the shadows, darken up the highlights. So the basic difference between curves and levels is that you get sliders instead of a visual representation. And that's pretty much all it. Okay? Visual representation versus sliders. Now, if we go ahead and open up curves, and let me just show you. So if I do something like this, I'm increasing the shadows, right? Increasing the brightness of the shadows. And if I do the same in levels here, that's pretty much the same. But different ways of visualizing. But if you're doing something complex, maybe for example, if you want to brighten this area, so you would simply go ahead, click on this button, click on this, and it will show you which point in the whole histogram is that area in, so that you just brighten that point. As simple as that. That doesn't happen in levels. So as far as complex manipulations are concerned, curves is the one. Just setting up white point and black point, levels is the one. Okay, hope that answers your question. So Carlos asked that. I'm losing track, my man. I'm losing track. Where did Carlos go? Okay. Carlos, come on, man. Where are you? So there he is. Now next, geez, guy, do you have a camera? Just kidding. I do have a camera, by the way, but currently I'm recording with my laptop's inbuilt webcam, which really sucks. Anyway, Pexels is not installing in my Windows 7 32-bit. I'm not sure what's wrong with that. I really need to dig into it. I forgot a lot techniques and shortcuts. By the way, there are just 14 or 15 shortcuts that you need to remember, my friend. Anytime, let me tell you a little nice trick. Anytime you want to experiment with the tool or stuff, anytime you're trying out something new, try holding the shift key or the spacebar key or the alt key. Something crazy or strange happens, which might or might not be amazing. Okay, so just let's do that. And 15 essential keys that you need to remember. Just go to my page, facebook.com/piximperfect. I have uploaded a photo about 14 essential keyboard shortcuts that you need to remember. Just watch that photo and you'll be good. Wedding photo editing. I'll be doing that. I'm so sorry about it. I'll be doing that anytime soon. Do you edit landscapes? Yes, I do edit landscapes. I sent you a couple of pics to see. You can suggest how to change the background of an underwater photo scene. I'll look into it, man. I'll look into it, George. Social media tutorials. Hi. Tell me, how do we use bridges on Photoshop, CC, etc. I cannot process more than one pic at a time. Here's the thing, social media tutorials. Bridge is outdated. Nobody uses that anymore, and there's a reason why Bridge is free. Just remember that. There's a reason why Bridge is free now. Okay? So most of us get that Photoshop and Lightroom bundle. Lightroom is best for batch processing. Again, but if you're doing something like maybe decreasing the resolution of a bunch of images, and you don't want to use Lightroom, you can do that in Lightroom as well. But if you don't want to do that in Lightroom, there is an image processor in Photoshop where you can do that. So, File, Automate, and there must be the processor. There it is. Yeah. File, Scripts, Image Processor. So in that image processor, all you have to do, you have to select the folder in which all your images are, then the location where you need to save them. File type, you want to save it as JPEG, you want to convert that into a JPEG, maybe from DNG to JPEG or NEF or CR2 to JPEG. The quality you want to keep. If you want to resize, you can resize it from here, convert to sRGB. You even can run an action. Maybe you want to apply some contrast to it. Maybe you want to optimize it for social media, something like that. You can make an action of it, maybe decreasing the file size, make an action of it and just to run it, and it will automatically do all the job. So that was image processor. Okay, where can we get additional color lookup? Just Google it up, man. There are a lot of color lookup tables that you can download. What's the best way to edit jewelry? I would say that try Lightroom. Especially try the adjustment brushes. Maybe paint on those, what do you call them? Beads or rubies? And try increasing the saturation and maybe clarity. And that's pretty much it. The PSNLR group passed 2000. Thanks, Unmesh, for helping me. Thank you so much, Andrew. This means a lot to me. By the way, Andrew has been such a support in helping my channel grow. Packy, how do you lower the noise by making multiple images and stacking them? What lens and cam are you using? Well, I'm using a standard Nikon D5200 crop sensor. How do you make multiple images, stacking them? You take a lot of images, simple, merge them, photo merge them, make an HDR. Okay? If you have them in same exposure, doesn't really matter. Makes a great image, by the way. So I'll make a tutorial about that if you want, soon. Can you make a video on using the pen tool? That's kind of, you know what? I make tutorial based on stuff that interests me. As long as it interests me, I can keep you interested, right? If it doesn't interest me, if it doesn't excite me, I don't make a tutorial on that because it doesn't make sense. Pen tool is some of the very rare tools that we used to use back in the days, right? When we didn't have so much of an artificially intelligent quick selection tool or the select and mask. That's so much more better right now. So pen tool is something we don't use much right now, but I might consider making a tutorial soon. Luminosity masks and how to use them. Okay, now what are luminosity masks? You see, luminosity masks are nothing, but they are masks of different levels of luminosity. That's what it is. They are masks of different levels of luminosity. Maybe you want to increase the contrast of just the highlights. You want to work just on the highlights. So you have a mask just for the highlights. Maybe you want to add a little clarity or maybe boost up the saturation just in the shadows. So you have a mask just for the shadow. And that's what luminosity mask is. Okay, I'll show you a short example if you want about luminosity masks. All right, so let's go ahead and delete all of this. Let's come to channels. And this is not the exact way, but this is a very quick way to do it. So if I press and hold controller command and click on RGB, it makes a selection based on luminosity, which means brightness. So now currently it's selecting the brighter areas of the photo. Okay, so all we can do, we can create, once the selection is up, we can create a curves. And as you can see, we have the mask here. If we edit that curve, it only affects the brighter areas of the photo. See how much details it brings to the sky. Now, if you want to deal with more highlights, okay, here's what you need to do. You can create 10 levels of luminosity mask, and there are actions out there. If you Google luminosity mask actions in Photoshop, you'll get a lot of actions that you can download that makes 10 masks of curves or whatever you want, or maybe in channels. So this is one of the masks. So we held controller command, clicked on this. This makes a general selection of the bright areas. If you want less of a selection of extremely bright areas, maybe you want to intersect the selection, here's what you need to do. Press and hold Control Alt Shift, Command Option Shift if you are using a Mac. Then see the icon changes into a cross sign. If you click on it, it intersects the selection and selects only the very highlight areas. If you do it one more time, it will just half it down and select more brighter areas. So you can again go ahead and create a curves adjustment layer or just like that. And look at the mask. If you look at the mask, this is just focused on the bright area. So now if you work on this properties, this only deals with the very bright areas, so on and so forth. So you can create masks for different bright areas and dark areas. And how to create masks for dark areas? Once you create the masks for bright areas, just invert them. Controller Command I, right? Makes sense? So I hope that answers your question. We need knowledge about portrait retouching. Yes, there will be knowledge, full of knowledge, ocean of knowledge, sea of knowledge. Why don't you reply to comments? Which comment did I didn't reply? In Facebook? I'm so sorry if I didn't reply your comment. I usually get a lot of comments, and between creating content, planning content, replying to messages, replying to comments, I kind of lose track. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. So, yes. Maybe cracking. Somebody answered something. I'm moving way down. I'm from Vietnam. Great to see you, Lam. I want to say thank you very much for your videos. It's great, useful videos, great and useful videos. Thank you so much, man. Means a lot to me. Maybe cracking Photoshop job videos, it will help many out there. I won't respond to that question. My channel will get a copyright strike or something like copyright infringement or maybe something like that. I don't know what that is. My channel will get a strike if I say anything on that matter. Is there a quick and dirty way to extract hairs from a messy background? Messy background? I've already said this. There's no software ever built or even a machine in the history of mankind or womankind that can differentiate between a hair and a tree. It's basically the same thing. Man, what's the difference between grass and hair? It's the same thing. So messy background, it gets really difficult to extract the hair. Your best bet is using the Selectin mask. Okay? I learn a lot from you. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Park. Please do a tutorial on highlights, shadows, and midtones. I already have a tutorial on that. Just search highlight, shadows, and midtones. I have a couple of tutorials on different tools on how to approach them. By the way, don't forget to watch the tone curve tutorial. Okay, it's the best tutorial on highlight, shadows, and midtones if you want to know more about it. Okay. And also don't forget to watch my tutorial on histogram. What is a histogram? You'll understand what they are and how to use them. Mr. Moonpie, interesting name, Moonpie001. Hey, want to thank you for all you do. You have helped me out so much. I love you explain the technical side in a very easy way to understand the method. You got a big gift for teaching. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Hi, sir. Wedding page action. Okay, you need a wedding page action. Try to create your own actions. Here's what I suggest. I don't create actions. I don't use actions. But for little stuff, maybe skin smoothing, maybe decreasing the image size, adding a vignette, I use my own actions. So let me just show you my actions. Actually, I just updated my Photoshop, formatted my whole computer. So you might not see my complete actions, but I would say that create your own actions. That's when you know, but that's when you really know what you're doing. And also try to create actions in which the dialog box pops up and asks you for the values. For example, I have created a quick skin smooth action. In that action, the dialog box pops up asking for the Gaussian blur values and the high pass values. So create those actions so that, see, one action is never going to be working for every image because the values that you put in Gaussian blur or maybe even high pass, the values that you put are in pixels, right? And if you have a higher resolution image, say 50 megapixels, you have a lot many pixels. Maybe a 5 pixel Gaussian blur might not make much of a difference to a 50 megapixel image as compared to a 2 megapixel image. That's why whenever you create an action, create non-destructive actions. How to create non-destructive actions? I mean, the actions in which you can change the values. Here's how to do that. For example, this is a raster image. For example, let's convert this into a raster. I want to create an action for Gaussian blur. So I would go to Windows, Actions, and then let's go ahead and create an action. So, new action. I'll set it in default actions. I'll name it blur. Okay. Record. All I'm doing, going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and let's add a Gaussian blur of say 4 pixels. Click OK and stop the recording. And that's what I did. Now, let's go back. Whenever I play that action, it applies that Gaussian blur, right? Instead, what you have to do, click on this button. Now, when you click on this button, and then you play that action again, watch what happens. Blur action, sorry. It asks you for the value, right? So if you create a long action, every time there is something where you have to put the values, the dialog box will pop up and ask you for the values. That's the best action to create. Okay. A tutorial for smoothing wrinkles in clothing. Hey Joshua, thanks for that question. Joshua Johnson asks about a tutorial on removing wrinkles. You know what? You can also use frequency separation to remove wrinkles in clothing. That's a good way. I'll make a tutorial on that, by the way. Okay. Moving up. Glenn asked some question. I really need to get to that. One more question, Mr. PI. What's the best way to... Okay, so many questions. What's the best way to correct the white balance on a photo? Do you have a tutorial for that? Watch my tutorial on Lightroom. There's a series on Lightroom tutorials for beginners. Watch that series. And in that series, I have a video dedicated to white balance. Just watch that. That will help you. Okay? So 102 watching. So great to have all of you guys. What was the command to get the second bright level in channels? Second bright level? Simple. Press and hold controller command, Glenn. Click on this. This gets you the first. Now, when you have got the first, all you have to do now, you have to press Control, Alt, Shift. Just hold Control, Alt, Shift. Click again to get the second. Control, Alt, Shift is still held. Click again to get the third. Click again to get the fourth. Make sense? All right. Convert to smart object. Borders get burned during frequency separation. Okay, you need to stay away from the borders and you need to work up the values. Have a little value of the blur and the... You get the idea. Okay? Just blur. Thank you so much. Tell me how to bring camera raw in filter option. It only pops out while opening the image. You need to see which version of Photoshop are you using, okay? How can you clearly select those windmill bars? Okay, difficult. See, you need to find a happy place and you need to be content that certain things cannot be selected easily, okay? So there has to be a point of contrast. Maybe the color of the windmill has to be different from the sky. Maybe it has to be so much more darker than the sky in order for it to get selected, right? So there has to be a point of contrast. So in this example, let me just see whether we can do that. So let's add a levels adjustment layer. And if we can make the windmill so dark and the sky so bright, no, it's not possible. It's not nearly possible. It's going to be really difficult, okay? So if the sky was white, it would have been really easy for us to do that. By the way, which reminds me, watch my tutorial on multiply and screen. When the sky is white, how to change the sky. Yeah. All right. If in this case, when we just increase the highlights and maybe darken the shadows, if in this case the skies went too bright and we could clearly see the difference, we could have easily selected and extracted out the windmills, but that didn't happen, right? So that's quite not possible. I have one more question if you could answer. What's the fastest way to select hair and fastest way to correct white balance? I normally do like make 50% gray layer, etc. Social media tutorials depends upon your image, my friend. What kind of image you have? Do you have a gray background? Do you have a white background? It totally depends. Do you have a busy background? It's going to take a lot of time. So depends upon image to image. If you have a gray background, you can do that in maybe 2 minutes, maybe even 1 minute if you take the right precautions while taking the picture. So watch my tutorial on retouching hair. Every technique of selecting hair is out there. Okay. Sir, it's possible to automatically change white background. I seen somewhere software like that. Automatically change white background. Again, I'm going to say that. Watch my tutorial on multiply and screen. That will help you. How to edit like Ellie Jacker. I've not heard of him, so sorry about that. What's the best way to contact you with questions? Well, the best way right now is this live stream because I'm unable to answer some of my messages. It gets really difficult to answer all my messages and also answer all my comments. So you can email me and also you can ask me your questions during live streams. Okay? If you want to send something, send some image that you want to extra assistance on, there's a question which requires an image attention. You can either Facebook comment me or Facebook message me. Sometimes I usually try to look at all the messages. I will reply to you, but it's a little late. So I will reply to you. Do message me on Facebook, do email me, and I'll get back to you. Okay, there's a little, it's getting a little warm here. Do you mind if I turn on my fan? It will get a little noisy, but if you don't mind, I wish to turn on my fan. Can I? Say yes or no, something. I really have to. The fan. There you go. Okay. It's getting a little warm here. All right. So let's come to other questions. Would you be able to create a video on restoring old photographs that are scanned? Love your tutorials, are the best out there. Thank you, CV Sayani, means a lot to me. Restoring old photos, it's all about cloning. It's also about sometimes painting. So unless I master that, unless I do 100 photos, I won't make a tutorial on that. So I have to be proficient on that before creating a tutorial. So as of now, there are no plans, but in future I might. Are we still live? Yes, we are, Michael. How to find if image is over vibrated? Vibrated? What do you mean by vibrated? Do you mean vibrance? Halo is occurring in frequency separation, so you need to work up the values. Have a little less values, okay? Borders get burned during frequency separation. Processing mobile clicked images. Mobile clicked images have very less bit depth as compared to the images clicked from your camera. The images might look good. They might have a higher megapixel count, but the bit depth is so low that when you try to darken the sky, you see banding. And there's a very limitation to the amount of editing or retouching you can do to phone images. So here's what I would suggest. Get it right in your phone. When you're taking a picture, get it right in your phone. Also, if you have phones like maybe iPhone 7 or maybe the high-end spec phones, some allow raw DNG capture. If you're using those phones, then awesome. You have the same flexibility as a raw image. If not, you have to get it right in the camera. Okay? Russell Clark, thank you very much for your tutorials, bud. Amazing. From Russell in Doncaster, England. Thank you so much, Russell. Somebody from such amazing countries are watching my videos. Means a lot to me. How to make mobile images like camera images high quality? Well, I don't know how to answer that question. See, there are two facts. You cannot, just cannot. There's a difference. There's a reason why people buy cameras, right? And the biggest reason, while phone cameras will never be able to take on DSLRs, is that the sensor size is much larger in a DSLR than in a phone camera, right? So in this camera, if you can see it, I don't know if you can see it. Look at the size of the lens. The sensor might be this small, but in a full frame camera, 35 millimeter. It's such a large sensor. So it cannot always take on DSLRs, phone cameras, but you can also always get it close by adding artificial background blur, by maybe working up Lightroom and stuff. You can do that, but it will never be as good as a DSLR. How to sharpen without noise? Where did that question go? I kind of lost it. How to sharpen without noise? Well, if you increase the sharpness, noise will increase. And you can later go ahead, decrease the noise using, one of my favorite ways of decreasing noise is using Nick Collection's plugin called Define 2. It's the best way. I have a tutorial on that, how to manually remove noise by analyzing what noise is in your photo and then removing it. So go ahead and check out that video. Okay? So you have to add first sharpness and then remove the noise. Also, there's a tip I want to give you. And the tip is this. Use the right value of high pass if you're increasing sharpness in Photoshop. Use the right value of radius if you're increasing sharpness in Lightroom. If the radius is too low or the high pass value is too low, you will accentuate the noise, right? So you need to be very careful. You need to find a sweet spot where the edges are pronounced, not the noise. That's step one. Okay, I'm scrolling down to the very bottom. How to blur like DSLR in Photoshop, not 100% like DSLR, but only 20%. You have to go ahead and select the subject out, select the background out, put it in different layers, and then you can do, also you can do it using the lens blur filter. So that comes into creating alpha channels and stuff. That's kind of a little techie, but let me just show you how to do that if you want to. So here's how it works. So for example, let me just create something really simple so that you can see. Maybe I'll do it roughly in this one. So if we just want to blur out the sky or blur out anything, I'm just creating anything. So maybe you want to blur out the sky just like that. Okay, this is a very rough selection. So all we have to do now is to create a new layer and first fill the area with white. Okay, and create another layer, fill the area with black. So we have a kind of mask, merge it out. Okay, also you could have created a black layer and then filled that up with white. So tons of ways of doing the same thing. Okay, now go to channels, hold the controller command, click on it, and then this creates the selection of the mask. Click on this button, this creates an alpha channel. Now you can turn this off, come back to this one, controller command D, filter, blur, lens blur. Okay, and then the lens blur dialog box appears. Now in the lens blur dialog box, all you have to do, choose alpha 1, okay? And as you can see, the opposite has happened. The sky is sharp and the windmills are blurred out. So make sure you uncheck the invert, okay? I don't know whether you can see it. Uncheck the invert, and as you can see, now the sky is blurred out. Let me just make it a little smaller so that you guys can see. Okay, it's lagging a little bit. So as you can see, the sky is blurred and the windmill, the areas that we selected, are sharp. So that's the way to do it. Okay, I'm gonna cancel. It's a processor intensive filter. Okay, shortcut. What shortcut? How do you fill with that black and white? Shortcut is, let me just show you how to fill anything with black and white. So Alt backspace, what it does is that it fills everything with the foreground color. That was that. You fill. Shift backspace, it opens up the dialog box giving you the choice of what you want to fill it with. Maybe 50% gray, maybe black, maybe white, so on and so forth. So those are a few shortcuts. So do you have a job? I'm a college student. And I do work a little bit. Do little events, stuff, shoot for somebody, create videos for somebody. And currently I'm doing that and creating tutorials for you. That's what I'm doing right now. So a lot of things, college, work, tutorials. I would be interested in more landscape tutorials. You have done some, but like more. Okay, I'll do some, Richard. Definitely. Greetings from Greece. Greetings to you. I'm very sorry I cannot pronounce your name. It's written in some other font which I cannot read. If you can write your name, I would be happy to greet you too. Okay. Will you do a darks? The Photoshop. Hey, Andrew. By the way, go ahead and join Andrew's group. It's an amazing group for Photoshop and Lightroom. Any question you ask, it always gets answered in that group. Okay. Will you do a dark sky? Oh no. The stream laggy now. Is the stream laggy? Is the stream fine? Hey, it says it's fine. Maybe it might have gone laggy in between. So let's look at some other questions. Thank you so much. Mark says, since I started watching your marvelous tutorials, I have started to get much better images. Thank you. Photoshop, easy to follow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark. Means a lot to me, man. Okay. He needs to have less bits so he doesn't affect the live stream. Otherwise, he's probably prefers it. Hello, my new friend. Love your videos and thank you. Thank you so much. Why are you in black and white? Well, the camera, the webcam actually, which is inbuilt into my laptop, doesn't render color right. It renders color something strange. It makes my face red, my hair is green. So I thought better turn it into black and white. Anyway, I'm soon going to buy a webcam, a good webcam. So I'm not an engineer, man. I'm a landscape photographer. Best way to extract the details using CC? Sharpen, clarity. These are all the detail stuff. Okay. My God. Please turn off your fan. You look so hot. Turn on your fan. Yeah, I really need to. Guys, can you give me a second? I really need to wipe up my sweat. Okay, so just give me a second, just a little bit. Okay. All right. Don't laugh at me. All right. Talking about portrait retouching. Wipe up my sweat. Okay. So, where were we? So why do you not make workshop of CC? Our photographer group would want to learn more from you. Workshop? If you organize the workshop, I'll be very happy to conduct that. Okay. How to YouTube live like yours? Just type in YouTube, how to YouTube live, and there are a lot of tutorials on how to do that. Okay. So search about it. All right. 53 watching now. So great to have you guys. Now, okay, it works again. Thank you so much, Mao. If you have any questions, ask. Hey, is there a way to remove object in a non-destructive way so that the background layer change the new layer with the object remove change to automatically? I didn't understand your question. Is there a way to remove object in a non-destructive way so that the background layer? Okay, there is a way to remove objects. So you want to remove, you mean extract something out, right? So instead of deleting it, putting it into its own layer, here's what you need to do. You need to create a mask. All you have to do, select the object you want, for example, this windmill, just like that. I didn't make a perfect selection. Click on that mask. And that way you have this on its own layer. And anytime you want to go back, get an extra something, take a brush and fill it with white. And that's the only way to non-destructively remove objects or remove the background. So I didn't mean to delete it. Okay. How to speak like you? I'm not god of Photoshop. Maybe you are. I don't know who is. I worked on Coca-Cola project as a retoucher. Working on blurred images makes so much difficult for clone and spot heal. Yes, it is. Really enjoying this. Lizette, by the way, is this fine? This time I'm trying to speak slow. Lizette actually suggested me that you speak slow. It would be fine for everybody. So Lizette, just let me know whether I'm going right or not. Be blunt. I really want you guys to be blunt, okay? Can you talk about laptops? Should we use Workstation or a laptop? You see, workstations are always going to be better than laptops as far as performance is concerned. But the reason why I use a laptop is because of portability. I'm a college student. I usually have to take my laptop around here and there. Maybe I'm shooting something. I have to transfer files, edit it quickly, and give it to the person who wants it. At that time, I have to carry my laptop. Now, you cannot carry your workstation everywhere, right? So you also have to look at portability. But if you're someone who retouches photos at your house or maybe you have different requirements where you do not have to move so much, Workstation is your way to go. Also, you get more for less money as far as Workstation is concerned. So if you look at an assembled PC, you get more configuration, more RAM, more of graphics in less money. And when you buy a laptop, if you want that extra same configuration, you have to pay more. Why? Because you're paying for portability. How to select? Okay, so many questions. How to select body with smooth edges? How to select a body? Do not repeat your questions. Please do not repeat your questions. Actually, I'm saying this for your own good, because if you repeat your question, YouTube automatically deletes that and maybe even bans you. So I've been through that. Do not repeat your question. You'll be banned. And I don't want you to be banned. YouTube does that, right? Okay. So how to select a body with smooth edges? You can easily select depending upon the contrast that you have. Okay. So if the background has a too much contrast and the subject, you can easily select it using a couple of ways. There are tons of ways of doing it. So one of the ways is using the blend modes, or maybe the blend diff, or even you can do that using select and mask. The new select and mask feature in Photoshop, that's really amazing in selecting smooth edges. Okay, Affinity Photo. You know what? I installed Affinity Photo. I have used Affinity Photo, but I find myself more comfortable in Photoshop CC. So that's personal preference. But then again, the biggest advantage, you know what the biggest advantage of using Adobe products are? If you are a creative, there are tons of Adobe products. Tons. You have Premiere, you have Photoshop, you have Lightroom, you have tons. And switching your images, your videos, or any media content, audios, between those softwares becomes much more seamless, right? You can use a PSD in Premiere. You can transfer files, you can save from After Effects to Premiere compositions. So the flexibility that you get, the portability that you get, the ability to move one file raw from one Adobe product to another, from Illustrator to Photoshop, Photoshop to Illustrator, Lightroom to Photoshop, that's so much more flexible. And that's the sole reason why we use Photoshop. How did you learn Photoshop and for how long? I've said this again, I've been playing with Photoshop for 10 years now, right? And 50% I would say I learned by playing and by accidents. You know, accidents are a great way to teach you stuff. Once you accidentally do something in Photoshop, maybe you discover something new which might be really amazing. And by accidents, I have discovered a lot of stuff. So I encourage you guys, destroy your images. Do accidents. Have a backup, by the way. Destroy your images. Try every adjustment layer. Try every filter. Maybe you might come across something interesting. You know what I found out a couple of months ago? The combination of splatter and artistic strokes really gives an amazing filter of a painting. So try that. A combination of splatter and artistic strokes. Why are you black and white? I already answered that, my man. My camera renders colors really bad, and that's why I changed it to black and white. Which do you prefer, TIFF or PSD? Again, personal preference. Depends on what you do. So if you are going for printing stuff, save that as a TIFF. Maybe if you want to get it printed from somewhere else, they might not have Photoshop. So TIFF is a format which retains all the Photoshop layers. The bit depth is awesome. Amazing. but the file size is huge. Really, really, really huge. Okay. But TIFF is supported universally. You don't have to have a software to open TIFF, right? So that way, TIFF is better. But PSD, concise, nice, fast opens, depends upon what you do. Does that answer your question, Richard? So all you have to remember, TIFF is universal. PSD is more, you just can open PSDs in Photoshop and sometimes other Adobe applications, right? Okay. Brownstone skin, please. Simple. If you want brownstone skin, all you have to do, let me just go ahead and open some images. So let me just, I can show that how to do that. Maybe let's type portrait. Let me just show you. So I have to select a portrait for that. Brownstone. Maybe let's do it with him. Okay. By the time image is opening, let's take a few questions. Appreciate if you make a video on color grading. I have tons of videos on color grading. Make sure you watch them. So just type color grading and on my channel. I might have titled that differently, but there are tons. How to select hairs. By the way, guys, it's 8:48 right now. I'm there for more 12 minutes. So if you have any questions, make sure you ask that. So golden bronze skin. All you have to do, make a copy of the background layer and go to filter, camera raw filter. There we go. And once the camera raw filter appears, by the way, it's raining outside. Okay, there we go. Increase the temperature and maybe increase the clarity. Okay, decrease the whites. Just turn this off to see how it looks. Increase the temperature, decrease the shadows maybe. You get the bronze, right? You need to play with the values a little bit. Contrast. Click OK. So you get that golden skin tone. All you have to do now, create a negative mask. I pressed and hold Alt or Option, click on this mask button. Take the brush, foreground color is white, and simply paint over his skin. So you get that nice golden skin. There you go. Isn't this beautiful? Okay. How do you stitch two close-up images together? Is it the same as landscapes? Yes, it is. So Lightroom does it really nice, Bill. So in Lightroom, we have image stitching options, right? Panorama and stuff, a lot of image stitching options. Just click on that. And there's a very nice thing in Lightroom which allows you to get that. See, once you stitch images, you get a kind of bent image, right? So there's a slider in Lightroom that really fits your images, warps your images to the edges. So Lightroom is the best for that. It's pretty much the same. How to whiten skin? Why do you want to whiten skin? That question is something which I answer. Sometimes I get racist comments, so I really don't want to get into that. But if you want to lighten skin or tan skins, I'm going to show you both just to make sure that I'm in the middle. I'm not biased. So there are a couple of ways of doing it. And one of the ways is using this, okay? Click on this and add maybe black, white. That's one way of doing it. And dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright. But this also makes it black and white, right? This also makes it black and white. So change the blend mode to luminosity. There we go. And you get pretty much options like bright, dark, so on and so forth. And you can play with the values. Also, what you can do, you can use curves to do that. Okay? You can add a curves adjustment layer and make it brighter or darker. And then just limit that to his face. That's pretty much all you need to do. Make sure you don't blow up the highlights. So that's how you do it. How to learn Photoshop from basic to advanced step by step. Siddharth, great question. What I would suggest that earlier, my intention was also the same. Anytime I wanted to learn a software, I would go from lesson number 1, then lesson number 2, lesson number 3, and then it would get boring and I would leave it. What I suggest to you is that no matter where you learn any software or even Photoshop from, maybe you're looking at a magazine. Think of it like this. Maybe you're looking at a tutorial. It has 10 steps. Don't read the first step, don't read the second step, skip to the 7th step. And if the 7th step or the 8th step interests you, and if it makes you ask, hey, how did this happen? How did that happen? This looks interesting. I really need to learn. I don't understand how this happened. This is awesome. Then you go back to step 1 and then you start again. Usually, if the 7th step or somewhere around that 6th step or later steps doesn't interest you, do not waste your time learning that. Life is short. Only spend time on things that matter to you. Okay? So that was a tip I learned the hard way. Why is it when you say vignette, you say vignette? That's the right pronunciation of vignette. My teacher taught me, by the way. It's not vignette. I used to say vignette, but it's vignette. So where is the pixel option in Windows menu? You have to install the Pixels Photoshop plugin for it to appear. Virus. Okay. Okay, let's go back. I have to go back and see the questions. Unmesh has a 25-month subscriber. Can you email notes on your videos? Hey, Mark, I'll get back to you through Patreon, okay? So I'll message you through Patreon and then we'll talk on what you need, on what I have to offer. Okay. Super powerful but difficult to use. Would love to see some tutorials for it. Lumens PS plugin. I really need to look into it first, okay? Hey, can you get Lumens to sponsor me? Just saying. I have seen many people explain Photoshop online, but you are the only one subscribed to. Thank you so much. I feel special. Thank you, Daniel. Hope you are making some money from all these awesome videos. The time and effort. Well, YouTube is kind of, not so much. Are you Indian? Yes, Hitesh, I'm Indian. YouTube doesn't pay me. And by the way, I haven't done any brand deals as of now and no sponsorship as of now. So it's kind of a charity for now. And it will be. How to alignment in PS. Gamut, Suresh Bhai, I have a answer for you. Really nice answer. Whether you want to align something, bring something in the center, make it to the side, make it to the top, make it to the bottom, all you have to do is watch my tutorial. Easy way to center anything in Photoshop. Just watch that tutorial. It will answer all your questions. Titled, Easy Way to Center Anything in Photoshop. How to select a body with smooth edge. I answered that. GIMP editor. GIMP, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's free. So it's just like Photoshop, it's free. Saw you using luminosity mask. Familiar with PS plugin Lumens? So I haven't used it, by the way. Always laugh in your video. I like it. Thank you. How to match exposure of all images while manipulating. How to match exposure. I have a tutorial on that. How to match elements using curves. How to match is using curves, something like that. Just search match using curves. Also, how to match composites. There are two videos on that. Watch that. How to smooth the edges. Well, what edges do you want to smooth? Can you talk about laptops? I already took that question. Let's get a little down. Okay. Hugo says, hi mate, really great videos. Congrats, thank you so much. How do I put a zoom image of a model on a full length image of a same model? I want the zoom image faint. Simple. Zoomed image of a model on the full length image of the same. You just have to decrease the opacity, Mark. So you have, for example, I'm just clicking on any image, Mark. I'm just clicking on any image. So what is the best way to remove wrinkles under the eyes to make it look realistic? Michael Hudson, I have a tutorial on that, my friend. So just search remove bags from under the eyes on my channel and you'll get a tutorial on that. So I have actually 2 tutorials on that, I guess. So watch those 2. One is a quick way. One is a more time-consuming way, but gives you much better results. So watch both of those tutorials. See which method works for you. Okay, so about the faint image close-up stuff that Mark asked. Mark. Just like that. Decrease the opacity, and there you go. That's the way to do it. So you have both the images there. And maybe try different blend modes. Screen. Multiply. Looks interesting, doesn't it? Maybe in the sky somewhere. Just like a god. So you get the idea on how to do that. You can adjust it later. So that's the way to do it. So let's go ahead and delete that. Bill asks, you're awesome. I think that you will soon have a cult of Photoshop. I don't know, Bill. I really don't know. That's strange. That would be strange. You're making me imagine something, you know, Bill? You're making me imagine me near a fire and there are laptops all around and we are wearing those hoodies, maybe with a stick or something. It's a strange imagination. Anyway, just hover over it and try them out. What? Hover over what? Okay. And by the way, I just wanted to give you a tip. If you want to cycle through different blend modes, if you added something, maybe a texture or something, just like that. Texture, just let's type texture. And maybe you added a texture, just like this. And something like that. And you want to cycle through different blend modes, maybe overlay, things like that. To cycle through blend modes, you just click on it once again, and if you're using a mouse just like this, use the scroll bar. There's a scroll bar and all you have to do is just scroll. Simple, and this allows you to try different blend modes. Isn't that interesting? This looks really fine. Before, after. Fun. I've been using PS for a while now and found new ideas thanks to the tutorials you publish. Opened up a whole new world of creation. Thank you so much, Sam. Means a lot to me. Fritchley, Sam Fritchley, thank you so much. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, okay? I'm sorry if it's wrong. By dinner time, all the best. I have to say bye too in 2 minutes. Guys, if you have any urgent questions, just ask me. Only if you have urgent questions. So, thoroughly enjoy tutorials. You explain why and how things makes information. Thank you so much, Roger. I'm sorry I didn't read it right. Then press V, then press any of the alignment bars. Okay, you're answering someone. Good. Helping each other is a great thing. Hugo, great videos, congrats. Thank you, Hugo. Okay. How can we do split toning without affecting skin tones in portrait? Well, once you do split toning, if you're doing it in Photoshop, you can mask the skin out, as simple as that. And one of the easiest way to select skin tones is using this. For example, you are doing something like you want to make the shadows a little bit bluer, increase the blues in the shadows, just like that. And you did some sort of editing just like this, and something like that you did. And you don't want to affect the skin tone. This is very aggressive. You just decrease the opacity just like, and you didn't want to affect the skin tones. Go to the masks, take the brush, erase it from the skin just like that. As simple as that. Or if you want to automatically select the skin tone, you select color range and then pick on the skin tone and increase the fuzziness. This automatically selects the skin tone. Make sure it doesn't select other areas and click OK, and this creates a selection, and there you go. Have a look, before, after. Okay, you need to invert the selection. There you go, before, after. Doesn't affect the skin much. That's one of the ways of doing it. So let's see whether we have any important questions here. Have you ever used Wacom tablet for Photoshop editing? Richard asks. Richard, you know what? There's a long story to it. And there's a short story actually. So I tried approaching Wacom. I've never used Wacom, by the way, to answer your question. I tried approaching Wacom, asking them, sponsor me, sponsor me, sponsor me. On Twitter, Facebook, even some of my Facebook friends were so good to me that they even, some from Australia, some from Japan. There was a friend from Japan. He too helped me. He sent an email to Wacom. There was a friend from Australia, Sire. She sent a message to Wacom, and a lot of people helped me, but unfortunately Wacom didn't respond. So yeah, I've never used Wacom. Argentina, I need to know how to work with zone system. It's photograph Ansel Adams. Ansel Adams is one of my favorite photographers. I need to know how to work with zone system. I really don't know what a zone system is. I'm so sorry. I really need to educate myself on that, but I'm super excited. As soon as I just turn off this live stream, I'll just search what zone system is. Thank you for letting me know about it. I'll just search about it. Investing in Photoshop CS? No, no, no. Please do not invest in Photoshop CS6. Do not. You're missing out on a ton of stuff. So always get a CC subscription. CC, 9.99 something dollars a month. That's the best you can get. By the way, there's another solution too, another way too, in which you can get CC for free, which I cannot discuss in this video. You understand why, right? Anyway, thanks for answering to my appreciation from Australia. That's so amazing. If a model uses fake tan or there's different color tan lines, etc., is there a better way than color balance which you can use to correct this? Okay, if you want to correct some different, there's a tint of something in the face. Maybe a part of the face is tanned, maybe just below the neck, the body is very dark and the face is very bright. Some of that sort happens. I have a tutorial on how to correct skin tone in Photoshop. Just watch that tutorial. There I give 3 examples on 3 different situations. Just watch that, that will help you. Okay, now time for me to go. I have to say you bye. What is mask clipping? Well, this is clipping. If you want to apply an effect just to a layer and not any layer beneath it, that's clipping. So, and if you have applied a mask to it, the masks will automatically clip. What does that mean? Well, if you have a mask to it, for example, just like maybe something like that. And if you have another copy of this layer, just kidding, just doing fun stuff here. Okay, so if I create a clipping mask of this, if I delete the mask from here, delete, and if I maybe increase the brightness just like that and create this will just apply to this area, and that's pretty much what it does. Okay, so yeah, that's what mask is. The masked out separate areas, and yeah, that's, I hope that answers your question. Models with fake tan, just watch that tutorial on skin tones. Just type in retouching skin in my channel, and I have a bunch of series of tutorial on correcting skin tone and doing fun stuff with skin. Just watch that series, that will help you. Okay, Hong Kong, that's so amazing. Hi Ron, great to see you. Would you be able to create a sequence for your tutorial series for beginners and advanced? I have a couple of playlists. All you have to do, go to my channel, click on playlists. I have a couple of playlists, whatever you want to learn. Maybe portrait retouching, maybe a series on blend modes, maybe a series on retouching eyes, retouching hair, so on and so forth. Fundamentals for beginners, there's a series there. So make sure you just go to playlists, and there are playlists where things are arranged in a sequence. Rami asks, love your efforts to the community. How do we make a donation for your contributions? Hey Rami, thank you so much. That the fact that you're watching the video is a donation to me. Thank you for your time. If you really want to help the channel, help this free channel, you can go to patreon.com/piximperfect. Okay, it's Patreon, patreon.com/piximperfect, and there you'll be able to pay whatever you want monthly and support my channel. Okay, you have some rewards that you'll get. Anyway, also, by the way, guys, I shouldn't promote this, but you can also donate from here. You can click on this super chat, and this helps you donate right from YouTube. Anyway, Jamaica, that's so amazing. People from all over the globe are watching us. That's awesome. Guys, I also encourage you to interact with the community, interact with each other here in the chat, so that you guys make some friends, discover some tips and tricks, exchange ideas. That's the whole crux of the community. Do that. Farhad, what was your question, my friend? I missed it. Farhad, just ask your question again. I'm sorry I missed it. Can you make a tutorial for frequency separation in depth? I have a tutorial on frequency separation in depth. Watch that. Okay. So I'm taking last round of questions. It's already 9:06. I kind of have exceeded the time. Argentina, great to see you, Ricardo. I need to know how to work with. Oh, I have already read that. Which to use first, sharpen or noise reduction? Sharpen. Try both. See which one works for you. Depends upon the software, depends upon the image. Usually when you're doing it in Lightroom, both are applied simultaneously, so it doesn't make much of a difference. So how do I put, but if you're working on Photoshop and if you want to apply some plugins and stuff, that time sharpening first, then noise reduction. Okay. Because when you're doing noise reduction, there are areas like sky, right? Which you can simply select and blur it out. Sky is completely blank, simply select and blur it out. So adding noise later would only, sharpening later would only add noise. So it's better to sharpen first, then remove noise. Okay. So that ends up. Hey, take the last question. Good evening from Greece. I just discovered your channel and it's awesome. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Cleoniki. Thank you. So that's pretty much wrapping up our live stream here. So I just wanted to talk to you, and I love talking to you, love interacting with you. And sometimes the messages get so much. I'm so sorry if I didn't answer any of your live stream messages. I try to answer everybody. And also, I'm so very grateful that you joined me and spent your time with me, asked your questions, we had a conversation. And I would really love a way where we could talk face to face with a lot of people. I could see each one of you. That would be so nice. I don't know how to do it. I think Google Hangouts does it, but I would love that. So see you again, maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And by the way, don't forget, I have a live webinar just exclusive to the Photoshop and Lightroom group in Facebook. Just go to Facebook, type Photoshop and Lightroom, join the group, and in that group I have a webinar on portrait retouching where I share my top tips, my hacks and stuff that will really get you going in portrait retouching. So go ahead and watch that. And when do I have that? I have that on Saturday, 10:30 p.m. IST, 10 a.m. PST, Pacific time. I'll see you there. Thanks a lot for joining in. And okay. Andrew, bye Andrew. Bye Devashis. Hi Eduardo, I have to say bye to you. Hi Siddharth. How to reduce, okay. Bye. Take care guys. Have a great day, evening or night, depending upon the time zone. Take care. Hey Georgine, do let me know how was the live seminar, okay? Do let me know how was this live stream actually.